Hello, friends. Happy Friday. Can you believe it's the last day of this work week? Well, hopefully, it's the last day of the work week for you because it's been a busy week. It's a new year. I'm sure you're like, time is flying by. Welcome to today's live level up conversation. Whether you're tuning in live with me, or catching me on replay, I'm just thrilled to have you here. Happy Friday. Let's dive right in.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market update. Speed round. Award-winning financial pro. And now, get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, friends. I'm Winnie Sun, your host, an award winning financial pro, a Forbes contributor, and a CNBC council member. And we're streaming here live on many social media platforms. Hello, hello. I see CrossX Fighter joining us on YouTube Live. I've missed you. I didn't see you last couple of shows, just telling my producer. I hope he's coming back because I miss seeing him. So thank you so much, Joshua, for being here. We are streaming here live as we talked about. So jump in, say hello. I want to know how your week's going. I want to know where you're joining me from. I want to know where the weather is like where you're at as well. Let me just tell you, today is a Friday, which, we always look forward to In the Loop with my co-host, Greg Nibbler. Greg, if you're watching, we miss you. But unfortunately, Greg's dealing with some severe weather issues over in Portland, Oregon. So our thoughts are with them. Stay safe, Greg. We know you're dealing with some icy, snowy weather. He showed us some pictures. Yeah, it definitely looks kind of messy, a little unsafe. So most importantly, Greg, we want you to stay safe. And we look forward to having you come back so we can do In the Loop again. We'll keep the cameras nice and warm waiting for you, Greg. Not to worry. All right, friends. Well, let's talk about this. I see Whimsical Charm joining us. Hello, hello on Twitter/X from Long Beach. I love it. You're not too far from me. I'm also in I can say sunny because yesterday it wasn't sunny. Sunny Southern California today. Today is a great day. And you might be wondering why, Winnie, is it such a good day? Well, because the markets are looking very cheery and green and happy today. In fact, the Dow is up 353, big one set, 353 points in the positive. Nasdaq's up currently over 200 points as well. And the S&P 500 is up over 50 points. So we'll take it. The market hasn't closed yet, but this is a great way to end the week, right? For those of you who are investing, thinking about your 403B or 401k or your Roth IRA or any number of things, well, let's just say as investors, we like positive days like this because there's going to be days like this, right? You know the song, there's like days like this, and sometimes there's days that are not quite like this, as we had a couple of those this week as well. Now, the S&P 500 has showed resilience as it's climbed above the 4,800 level, nearing an all-time closing high, which we saw just a couple years ago in January of 2022. Now, some of the key contributors to what we're seeing today is, of course, this positive momentum is we're seeing some strength in certain areas, industries, companies such as insurance, financial companies are looking pretty good today as well as the ever popular tech sector, also leading. Technology sector is playing a pivotal role in driving what we're seeing in market gains today, particularly after many analysts have upgraded some of the big names that you're familiar with, right? So the S&P 500 rebounded quite strongly last year. In fact, over 24% gain following a 19% loss in the year prior in 2022. So we'll yet to see what's going to happen in 2024. But let me just say, hopefully Greg and I will get back to you on In the Loop next Friday because I have my predictions for 2024 that I can't wait to share with you. And I hope you're going to earmark that show because we want to, let's see if it comes true. I'm not saying that I got a crystal ball, but I have a feeling about certain things, and I've been pretty not 100%, but pretty accurate in the last few years. So I feel good about that. But so some of the things that we're looking at right now, of course, with the economy doing well today, of course, trying to make sure that we avoid any anticipation of a recession. And of course, we want to continue to see a decrease in inflation levels, which will hopefully not only help the Federal Reserve pause interest rate hikes, but also start to toggle them and bring them down, which we know some of that has already been trickling in. If you've been in the market to buy a new home or refinance a new home, or you're like me and you have friends that are in the mortgage industry that text you happy news, i.e., their rates or something like that, I've noticed that they've come down as well. We've seen now mortgage rates toggle around 6%, which is not a bad thing. So those of you sort of sitting on the sidelines and maybe still waiting, hopefully that'll come down to the 5% range soon, and then it'll get to be more moderate, reasonable levels, if you will. So the market, of course, paused its rally, which began just this month. We definitely saw some troubling times, at least the first couple of weeks, in contrast to the end of 2023. But nonetheless, we've seen a lot of interest by investors returning back to those popular tech leaders, which is potentially a sign of a bull market that started in October of 2022. So hopefully that's the case. You don't really know of a full bull market and when it started and when it ended until you look back in time. So just always know that. Anything else is just sort of speculation. The S&P 500 has also surged more than 33% since its low. And of course, the sustainability of the market's growth in 2024 will really depend on, the Federal Reserve's ability to manage a soft landing for all of us here in the United States. So it's important to note that, a lot of the S&P 500's growth last year was primarily driven by multiples rather than just earnings. So lots to think about, right? And one area that is sort of helping things along is, recent consumer data does show growing confidence in the US economy, and of course decreasing inflation has been welcome. People just feel better about that, and we saw that because last month during the holidays people actually spent a little bit better than analysts were expecting. So that's good. So let's continue on. I want to talk about some of the stories that have sort of made the headlines. I want to make sure you keep on top of this because it's good stuff, right? What are we talking about here? Welcome. I see a new friend on YouTube Live. We're talking about trending business headlines, and we're talking about things that you should be aware of and that could impact you financially, yourselves, your job, your business, so stuff like that. Stuff that I just want to make sure is on your radar. Now, this is shared by Sarah Dorn at Forbes, talking about, well, the Senate has passed a bill to help us avoid government shutdown once again. Now, it's not completely done. It needs to go to the House for approval, but currently the Senate has passed a new short-term spending bill. And the bill was passed by a pretty whopping number of 77 pro votes to 18 against votes, which does now help prevent a government shutdown. Now, if you remember, this actually is the third such bill this fiscal year. Now, the shutdown deadline extension, to give you an idea, is now this extends the shutdown deadline for some US government agencies to March 1st. And the rest of them will be to March 8th. So that's good. People will get their paychecks when they're working. And if you need government services or government aid, that you'll have people that will be able to take care of you, right? Now, currently, the federal government is operating under extension of the fiscal year 2023 budget due to, unfortunately, the lack of agreement on a brand new spending plan for the 2024 fiscal year, which really should have begun on October 1st. Now, House support is still going to be necessary for this to take place. This bill is going to require the support of 2/3 of the U.S. House members for an expedient passage. Now, while there are still some members of Congress who are very strongly opposed to it, mostly on the right side of the House. There is though bipartisan support, including House Speaker Mike Johnson's endorsement, as well as the Democratic Party as well. Now, this budget agreement it has been announced on top line spending levels for fiscal year 2024, and this provides time for Congress to really define the deal and settling on a budget of $1.6 trillion, which aligns with the spending caps which were set in a previous agreement between House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Joe Biden. So net net, it's good news. The government isn't closing anytime soon, and we have at least until March to breathe a little bit, and hopefully they can finalize a deal for, let's remember, this particular year. So that's that. Now, moving on, let's talk about Apple. Now, you may have seen the news coming out of Apple. You may have seen pictures. If you haven't, we're going to be sharing some pictures with you today for sure. This is called Apple's Vision Pro. This was an article shared by Emma Roth on Verge, and if you haven't seen it yet, this I think is just so cool. I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, I feel like it's cool, but it's kind of one of the things that you would only wear in your house, right? I can't see you wearing this outside. People would look at you like people are like uncomfortable with wearing face masks, out to keep from getting viruses right now. Can you imagine people wearing this on their face? It's not going to happen. But maybe they'll be comfortable wearing it at home or in their car or I don't know, at the library. I don't know, but I'm just thinking it's not gonna be like that big just yet, unless literally everybody's walking around in Times Square with one of these things and hoping they don't bump into each other. The Vision Pro pre-orders are going to begin. They are now open with the US release scheduled for February 2nd. So if you want one of these hot commodities, let's just say the Vision Pro is going to be priced out about $3,500. Did you get that? That's a lot of money, right? I think we would agree. $3,500. Let's be honest. For many people, that's like multiple months of rent, mortgage payments, and all that. But hey, if you've got the money sitting around and you really want one of these, let's talk about it. The Vision Pro is $3,500, and buyers can choose to pay either all up front, obviously, or in 12-month installments. And it comes with all sorts of different storage options, just like when you're buying your smartphone. This includes obviously the full-blown 1 terabyte model, the 256 and 512 in between as well, the 512 gigabyte as well. Now, this new edition from Apple this is Apple's um, first foray into the new product category since the Apple Watch in 2015. So it is pretty exciting. But the question is its long-term potential. Now, analysts are suggesting that the success of the Vision Pro isn't going to be right off, out of the gates. Its true potential, they're saying, lies in long term. So for most of us, that's the question. I mean, if it's long term, do we want to wait for a future model, or are you the type that wants to collect the newest and greatest and have like something brand new? I know some people, right? Like with the Cybertruck with Tesla, they wanted to have that first. They wanted that first Cybertruck when it came out, and this might be you. But here's the thing: analysts are estimating that Apple could generate approximately $1.4 billion in revenue from the Vision Pro this year if they ship around 400,000 units. So that's a lot. 400,000 times 3,500. That's a lot of dough. But spatial computing experience, obviously the Vision Pro is going to offer this very cool experience like virtual reality display of activities like movie watching, multitasking with various apps. I really wish Greg was here because he could explain this even more to the full extent. We'll make sure to get his feedback on a future show, of course. But yeah, Apple's trying to make it as cost effective and easy as possible for as many people who want in on this product. So if you're going to be doing a 12-month financing plan, that's going to cost you approximately $291.58 per month through this option. Obviously, that's going to like vary depending on probably your sales tax and all that stuff, but you can even have the option to have your prescription lens inserts on this as well for another about $150, $149. You can actually get prescription lenses in your Vision Pro. Now, Apple did reveal this recently at the Worldwide Developers Conference in 2023, which is really their entry into the VR headset space and market. So it's kind of exciting. But here's what's kind of like might be disappointing to those of you who are really excited, like, oh my goodness, I'm going to put this in my shopping cart and I'm going to get it. Hold up. These are some things you should know. Number one, the YouTube app will not be available. You won't be able to watch your YouTube. You won't be able to access it via app, at least, on the Vision Pro. Also, Netflix is already excluded as well. They're not going to be available on the device, as it seems that YouTube won't have a native app either. I'm guessing you could probably like offset that by going into a browser mode to be able to access your YouTube and your Netflix. But let's be honest, like having an app does make it quite convenient. And Spotify right now is not sure. They might block its native app from functioning on the Vision Pro as well, but they haven't made an exact, an official announcement by the company as well. Of course, you would have to use Safari Web if you're not going to have a designated app. But so none of the 46 most popular apps on the App Store will have native Vision OS apps for the Vision Pro currently at launch. But of course, this could affect the device's appeal to users who really like that their particular properties. And these are really popular apps, right? These are some of the biggest and most used, most popular properties. But for those who want a really immersive media experience, they're looking for that convenience and having to make sure that this is available to them. But that being said, is it going to be a deal breaker? And I don't know. And then the reason I bring this up is because, when I first got my Tesla, it it came with a streaming service built in. And it was part of the vehicle, and it wasn't the one that I use most often, right? But it was already built in the car and it was really easy to use. And so I ended up starting to use it more than I did my previous um services that I was using. So I'm thinking there is the possibility for change here if people are willing to get past, pay the $3,500, get the prescription lenses if they need it, and start to use it as Apple is hoping that they will. And so the question is, who will buy it? Will there be 400,000 people willing to, spend this kind of money? And what is the experience? Knowing Apple is probably an amazing experience. I would love to test it out. If anyone wants to reach out, we'd love to hear that, of course. But currently, streaming services available on the Vision Pro are going to include Disney Plus, Amazon Prime Video, Max, we know Paramount Plus, Peacock, Pluto TV, and a few other ones as well. But of course, not having that dedicated Netflix YouTube app might be kind of a deal breaker for some people. But let me know in comments, like, do you feel excited about this? Is this something that you would buy? Would you? Obviously it's a big price tag up front. Is it something that you would spend money on? Would you default to the 12-month payment? Like, how big of a priority is this to you? And what do you think your use of this would be? I'm really curious to see your thoughts on that, because I do think it's a very unique item, and I think it's kind of exciting technology. And just remember, it wasn't that long ago where people thought, people wouldn't use the Apple Music Pod, right? Or people thought, well, smartphones were cool, but like it wasn't for everybody because it was so expensive. And let's remember, it was even like in the beginning when people didn't feel like everybody needed a computer because it was so expensive. And look what we are now. So this is probably one of those pivots. We'll see. But will it take over some of the things that we're used to? It's really more of a question of when than if, right? That's what I think anyway. All right, let's segue to another story that's being shared by my friend and reporter at CNBC, Annie Nova, talking about student loans. We've talked about student loans on the show quite a bit, but this is a big one. The Biden administration has now, again, recently made another significant announcement regarding student debt forgiveness. Now, a total of $4.9 billion in student loans will be forgiven for over 73,000 student loan borrowers. Now, the reason for this relief is a direct result of the U.S. Department of Education's efforts to address issues within its income driven repayment plans and their public service loan forgiveness program. Now, of course, the Education Secretary's statement by Miguel Cardona highlights that the Biden administration's dedication is to fix the student loan system. They really want to get this right, and they want to remove obstacles that previously prevented or hindered student borrowers from receiving debt forgiveness that they said they deserved. And so it's a distribution of relief. So approximately $1.7 billion dollars of relief will benefit over 29,000 borrowers enrolled in income driven repayment plans. Now, these plans are really designed to lead to debt forgiveness after a specific period. But of course, there were some hiccups and challenges along the way due to tracking how much was already paid on these loans. So the public service loan forgiveness, additional, just basically more and more people are getting forgiven, more money is going to be given for these means, and hopefully it will positively impact a lot of people who just weren't able to get above and beyond their student debt. But my hope is, of course, that they really take a look at why the cost got so high and see what needs to be done so that this doesn't become an ongoing issue that we need to give student loan relief year after year after year, right? Taking a look at, do we need to do more consulting with kids in high school? Do we need to take a look at the college costs? And is there ways that, things can get to be more affordable? And most importantly, like really teaching kids and students and teens about, this is how much it's going to cost you to go to college. Will this translate to the income that you need to pay off your debt and really to start to make a financial life for yourself as well? So a lot of things that I think need to get flushed out, but hopefully this is, hopefully this is one and done, but I really doubt this is one and done. So in total, the Biden administration has now canceled more than $136 billion in student debt. Over 3.7 million Americans have benefited from that. Well, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of taxpayer money. And of course, it's important, right? It will help all of us in the long run. But nonetheless, it's something that I think we need to get in front of and really figure out. And then I think that student loan, a lot of this is a lot of band aid work, and we need to get to the root of the problem so that we can move on and do better things with our money and our time and everything else, right? All right, let's take a look at the market since we've been doing the show here. The Dow is currently up 391 points. We love that number. Very good. The Nasdaq is up 218 currently, and the S&P 500 is also up 53 points. So a lot of positivity. The day isn't over. We still got over an hour left on the financial markets, but it's looking good. I suspect we'll end today well, and we'll probably have a nice week, and we can look forward to a weekend, and then we can be back right next week. And hopefully Greg will be back on in the loop as well. But thank you so much. I want to just say a huge thank you to all of you. Thank you so much, Joshua, CrossX Fighter, everybody. I see a lot of people on Instagram Live with us as well, and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. You are all so appreciated. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. If you want to find full episodes of Level Up with Winnie Sun, definitely check in on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, Samsung, LG, Roku, and many other streaming platforms. And make sure to tag at Winnie Sun if you share this on your social media platform so I can properly thank you like I need to do for Joshua. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. And of course, check out Yes Factor with Winnie Sun on Apple Podcasts or wherever you check out podcasts or the LinkedIn Podcast Network. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Have a beautiful weekend. Take care. Stay warm, stay safe, and hug your loved ones for me. Take care. Bye-bye.